Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the sonnets, and today we've got Sonnet 31, which goes, Thy bosom is endeared with all hearts, which I, by lacking, have supposed dead. And there reigns love and all love's loving parts, and all those friends which I thought buried. How many a holy and obsequious tear hath dear religious love stolen from mine eye, as interest of the dead, which now appear but things removed, that hidden in thee lie. Thou art the grave where buried love doth live, hung with the trophies of my lovers gone, who all their parts of me to thee did give. That due of many now is thine alone. Their images I loved I view in thee, and thou, all they, hast all the all of me. So, unlike the last two poems that were pretty straightforward in what they meant and what they were talking about, sonnet number 31 is a little more complex and a little more difficult to figure out. And if I'm being totally honest, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it because I've read a lot of different analyses. I wasn't quite sure what to make of this sonnet when I first read it. It did seem a bit along similar lines of you have my heart, so hold on to it, and I have yours, and all this sort of thing. Something about love being placed in somebody else and love being redirected towards the fair youth. And I was getting the impression of the speaker seeing elements of all of his previous lovers and previous infatuations in the fair youth. So when he looks at the fair youth or thinks about the fair youth, he is reminded of love's past and sees elements of them now there within the youth. But there's a couple of lines, who all their parts of me to thee did give, that due of many now is thine alone. I'm not quite sure how that fits into that analysis of it. And then the last two lines, and thou and all they hast all the all of me, is another interesting one to try to figure out. And some of the analyses that I read said that this is about remembering past loves in the new love, but then also adding to it the fact that everybody else who used to love the speaker, who used to love Shakespeare, now also loves the fair youth, because the fair youth is like the paragon of manhood and one that everybody loves and wants to be, or wants to be with. There was one analysis that I read that said that this is a sonnet written to Shakespeare's sonnets. So continuing with the theme of keeping the fair youth, or keeping various lovers alive through poetry. So saying thy bosom is endeared with all hearts is talking about the length and breadth of the poetry that Shakespeare has written, saying that this poetry now contains all of Shakespeare's loves. And when he looks at it, this is where all of his past loves have, quote unquote, gone to die, but he can resurrect them and focus his love and attentions on the poetry, because it brings back the pleasant feelings and all those things. He's poured everything of himself into his poetry, as opposed to pouring all of himself into the fair youth, who everybody else now loves. So there's still several ways that this could go, and I'm not sure which one I like best. So I would love to hear from you. How did this poem land on you? What do you think that it was about? And if you take a look at the text somewhere online, it's all over the place. Just Google Sonnet 31. Is there anything that you catch in here that maybe somebody else didn't, that makes all of it click and say, oh yes, this is what it's about? Yeah, that's the fun part of studying Shakespeare. Anyway, that's sonnet number 31, and tomorrow we'll dig into sonnet 32. I'll see you then. Mwah.